Hello and welcome back to our next video. This video is focusing on how to find the slope-intercept form when you're given the slope and 1 point. So a little bit more complicated than the previous video where we had slope and intercept given to you. So we've got to do a few more steps here. What we have here already in front of us is given to us the graph of the function, the linear function, as well as the words of the linear function. So you may get both, but most likely you're going to get one or the other. So the question is, how do you change that graph into the equation, or how do you change the words into the equation? Okay, so let's take a look at what we have. On the graph, we're going to have to locate some points. So I found one there that sits on that's on the line and also sits on whole numbers on the x and y axes. And what we do is try to find out our slope to the next solid point. So next point that lies on two integers. So this one goes up 3 and over 2, which works because in the words the slope is 3 over 2, and that gives us the slope. And now let's look for a point, which we already started with. We started with that point, I believe, is -4, -4. So we go back to what we did in the previous video, and our first step is to just write out the slope-intercept form. Once you get really good at this, you may not have to write that, but for now I will keep doing that just to get us used to always writing our general form of the equation first. And then let's start substituting what we've got. So step 2, substitute. And if we look up at our words, we have our x, which is -4, we have our y, which is also -4, and we have our m. So when we look at all that, the only thing we're missing is b. So we substitute -4 for y, and then 3 over 2 for our m, -4 for our x, and b is the only thing we do not have. So when we set that all up and substitute, we notice b is the only thing we have, or we don't have. So if we can get it by itself, isolate it, solve for it, then we will know exactly how much b is equal to. So as opposed to geometry, where sometimes you're given one thing which might give you 3, 4, 5 other pieces of information, say inside a triangle or a polygon. In algebra, usually if we have 4 variables, we will need to get 3 of them, or have been given 3 of them, in order to find out the 4th missing piece. So that's one of the slight differences between algebra and geometry. So here, let's do our normal arithmetic to get the b solved for. When we cancel out the 2 and the -4, multiply that to get -6. So that's a nice, cleaner equation with no fractions. So -4 equals -6 plus b. Add our 6 to both sides. Whoops, too fast. And we get 2 on the other side, so b is equal to 2. And in our final step, let's write our full entire equation. So y will equal 3 over 2 times x plus 2. And that's our equation that we've figured out from the graph as well as the words. So again, we have the parameters. We solve for m and b, the parameters of this equation. X and y we will leave as variables because they vary, they change. There's an infinite number of coordinates that work for x and y that will give us, that are given in this equation here for this parameter of 3 over 2 for m and 2 for b. Okay, that's the guiding question. Now let's let you try it. In this one, we give you that graph, and the words are right there as well. What you should notice, or hopefully you notice from the previous video and this video, is that you can't see your y-intercept. They don't give you the y-intercept in the words, and you can't see the y-intercept in the graph. So it's up to you to solve for that. Again, you are given enough information, because if you have points and you have slope, that's 3 of the 4 variables in the slope-intercept form, so you can solve for what's missing. Alright, so I want you to press pause, you try it here, and when you're ready, you can compare your work with what we have here. So press pause and press play when you're ready to compare work. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully what you did was step 1, write your y equals mx plus b. Step 2, let's substitute what we have. We have our points in the graph. In the words, they've given us all the numbers that we need. And let's substitute. Bam. 4 for our y, -3 for our m, because that's really -3 over 1, because it drops 3, as we read it from left to right, it drops 3 and over 1. So it's really a fraction, -3 over 1, but in simplified form, it's just -3. And for x, we plug in 3. So all we're left with is the b. That's all that we do not know. So let's do our normal arithmetic to solve. 4 equals negative 9 plus b. Add the 9 to both sides. And your b is 13, which gives us the final equation of y equals negative 3x plus 13. And continue to make those connections. In the first question that I did, the slope is positive. It's positive 3 over 2. So in the graph, it moves upward as you move from left to right. In the second question that you tried, the slope is negative 3. So as you read it from left to right, that graph drops. So negative slope has a graph that from left to right will drop or point downward. Alright, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.